Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of the Lore Master series. Today we will be talking about the eternal fire. If you haven't heard of this religion before, then brace yourself because today we will be exploring one of the most widespread cults in the world of The Witcher. We will be looking at how it started, its beliefs, its hierarchy, and much, much more. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the Lore Masters. The Eternal Fire was a religious cult that had many followers among humans of the northern kingdoms. It was founded in Novigrad, where it was practically law, and the city served as the religion's de facto capital. At least 3/4 of the citizens there were members of the cult. The greatest temple of the Eternal Fire was the Novigradian Grand Picket, and every priest in the city belonged to the order, regardless of which deity they were ordained to. The religion was so popular that by 1272 it was declared as the Church of the Eternal Fire. However, the religion still allowed for other religions to exist within its lands. But if you were not a member of the Eternal Fire, you had to pay special taxes. This did not include the dwarves and elves, though, as they were seen as heathens and were heavily persecuted. The cult is led by an elected hierarch, who's chosen by the Electoral College, with the seat currently being occupied by Cyrus Engelkind Hemmelfart. The main tenet of the faith is that they worship an eternal flame as a symbol of human survival. To them, it represents hope during the darkest hours and guidance from within the darkness. Many people also saw the flame as a harbinger of progress, of better days to come. The cult has no official acting army or military body, but the Order of the Flaming Rose and witch hunters defend the Eternal Fire and uphold its laws. The temple guards patrolled and protected the Grand Picket in Novigrad. Although the Eternal Fire wasn't a violent faith, its adherents didn't hesitate to resort to force if it meant protecting the safety and sanctity of the cult. In fact, the sect had a dedicated militant arm called the Order of the Flaming Rose. Its members were known for their bravery, fanatical devotion, and ruthlessness towards enemies of the state. These warriors also played a role similar to that of the Gestapo, carrying out the will of the hierarch. They followed him into battle and were charged with suppressing heretical teachings, rooting out witches, and eradicating strigas. According to some sources, the Flaming Rose was founded by a certain Master Ingvar back in the early days of the cult, when its founder was still alive. He entrusted his friend's son, Bardin, with leading the order. Upon Ingvar's death, Bardin reorganized the militant wing of the sect and established its new headquarters in Sodden Hill, close to Novigrad. At the height of its power, the cult's clergy numbered in the thousands, with hundreds of thousands of lay people devoted to its teachings. The first mention of the cult dates back to 1263, when King Henselt of Cadwin attempted to abolish the Eternal Fire in his lands. In response, the people of a small village rose up in arms against the king and, after defeating his soldiers, erected a statue of the Eternal Fire in the town square. Another record mentions the execution of several members of the cult in Chapter Vernon for the crime of sodomy. On March 8, 1267, the citizens of Novigrad asked Hierarch Reginald to intervene in a dispute over jurisdiction between Bishop Peter Vadum of Posen and Abbot Arnold of the Church of St. Gregory. Hierarch Reginald used the occasion to travel to the city and convert its citizens to the Eternal Fire. Soon afterward, he commissioned the construction of the Novigradian Grand Pike to serve as the main temple of the cult. By 1272, the cult had grown in popularity to the point it was declared as the Church of the Eternal Fire. The first hierarch was a man named Samuel Lethen, who held the office until 1292. The next two hierarchs also enjoyed long tenures, with Hierarch Raymond serving until 1314 and Hierarch Christian ruling until 1332. During the latter's tenure, the witch hunt known as the Second Northern Bleed occurred. In 1334, the See of Posen split from the Church of the Eternal Flame due to theological differences. The last known hierarch was Cyrus Engelkind Hemmelfart, who came to power in 1357. Despite having been founded in Novigrad, the Eternal Fire spread quickly to other regions. Temples of the Eternal Fire could be found throughout the northern kingdoms, from Chapter Vernon to Soden Hill and even to Upper Aretuza. In addition, the cult's influence extended across the sea to the island of Thanet in the Summer Isles. The teachings of the Eternal Fire were based on the belief that there existed an eternal flame that burned away evil and illuminated the path toward progress and enlightenment. Adherents of the cult believed that this flame burned within the hearts of all men and that its light could guide humanity through the darkness of ignorance and superstition. Followers of the Eternal Fire rejected the old ways of paganism, which they saw as backward and barbaric, and embraced the teachings of the cult as a means of bringing about a new era of enlightenment. They believed that the eternal flame was a symbol of hope, and that by following its light, they could overcome the challenges and hardships of life. Unlike many other religions in the world of The Witcher, the Eternal Fire did not have any holy books or sacred texts. Instead, its teachings were passed down orally from one generation to the next. This made it easier for the cult to adapt to new circumstances and allowed its teachings to be more fluid and less rigid than other faiths. The lack of written texts also made it more difficult for outsiders to understand the true nature of the cult and its beliefs. The rituals of the Eternal Fire were designed to help its followers connect with the eternal flame and harness its power. These rituals often involved the use of fire and water, which were seen as elements that could purify and heal. Some rituals were performed in private, while others were conducted in groups. The most important ritual was the lighting of the eternal flame, which was done at the beginning of every service in the temple. The dress of the Eternal Fire was simple and practical. There were no elaborate robes or symbols of wealth and power. Instead, the clergy wore simple tunics and carried no ornaments. The only exception was the hierarch, who wore a white robe and a crown. Members of the Flaming Rose Order were permitted to wear finery and display wealth. Their uniforms consisted of black lacquered armor adorned with red plumes and rose motifs. They also wore red cloaks with silver clasps and carried shields bearing a flaming rose emblazoned on a field of blue. The emblem of the cult, the flaming rose, was a symbol of beauty and strength. It represented the idea that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for renewal and rebirth. The rose was also a symbol of love and compassion, and the flame represented the warmth and generosity of the human spirit. Together, the flaming rose symbolized the ideals of the Eternal Fire. The Eternal Fire was a relatively new religion in the world of The Witcher. It had only been around for a few decades, and yet it had already gained a large number of followers. Its popularity was due in part to its simple message of hope and enlightenment. In a world that was often dark and dangerous, the Eternal Fire offered a beacon of light that attracted many people. Its rejection of the old ways also appealed to those who were looking for something new and different. The lack of rigid rules and regulations made it more appealing to some than other faiths. Overall, the Eternal Fire was a fascinating and unique religion that played an important role in the world of The Witcher. Its beliefs and practices were unlike those of any other faith in the world, and its influence can be seen in many parts of the northern kingdoms. While it may not have been as powerful as some of the other religions, it was certainly one of the most interesting and thought-provoking. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like and comment down below if you want to see more videos like this. Subscribe to stay updated on all future uploads. That's all for now, my friends. Until next time, may the flames of knowledge burn bright in your hearts.